Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Triathlon, the world's premier podcast that talks about triathlon. Doesn't necessarily give you the news or break the news or anything like that, but we are known to talk about triathlon. Jimbo, how you going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. It's been an interesting and busy week. I've been all over the place this week, but I'm finally back in Devon, heading back to Bristol first thing tomorrow morning, which is my Friday morning, your Friday evening. So I never stop moving. How are you,
No,
mate?
I did. So sorry, I'm Tim Ford. You're James Bale. No, good, mate. I did see that you were up the tallest tower in the UK in London, being wined and dined on your social
Yeah,
media
yeah. I
this
spent
week.
Tuesday in the rotating restaurant at the top of the BT Tower in London, which is now the second biggest building in London after they built the Shard. But I
Mm.
suppose it's still the biggest tower because it's a fucking tower and the Shard's a building. So,
I mean,
claim it as the biggest tower in London.
it's crazy to see the way that this podcast opens doors for you, man. Like, I choose to believe
Oh,
that if it wasn't
yeah,
for being one of
it's
the
all about the podcast. British
exactly,
Telecom reached out to me, invited me to a corporate hospitality day because of the podcast.
mate, the
You know,
downloads are that big that the bandwidth that we're
they are indeed. They are
when
indeed.
you're getting
The band
the
is the
downloads.
band. It's the bandwidth.
Exactly. We're responsible for so many for terabytes of podcasts being downloaded across the BT network that yeah, we're a big deal, mate. So good
We
to
are a big deal. But yeah, heading to Bristol this weekend because I've got them doing the Bristol 10K. I've got a 10K road race on Sunday.
what's the goal? 30, 33, 34.
Yeah, yeah, maybe like late 20s. Who
Oh shit,
knows?
okay.
We'll see.
You're gonna threaten Alex
No,
here. He's
no.
gonna start
My
feeling a
uh,
bit
my my
guilty about
10K
himself.
PB is 40 minutes dead. If I could be in the gap between 40 and 50 at this stage in my training, I'd be happy.
It's a solid little day out.
Yeah, it's a
Nice
solid day out.
little tempo effort. Not bad, not bad, not
Yeah,
bad.
why not? Why not? What are you doing this weekend? Are you
Uh,
training at the moment?
I
Do you
am.
train anymore?
I have been known to throw the leg over a bike occasionally and chuck on a pair of joggers and occasionally jump in a pool. No, I'm. We've had fucking hell. I'm about to be James Bale for a second. It has rained for like 2 weeks in
Yeah.
Sydney, so, so I mean it's worked out quite well for watching races because I've been on the fucking bike trainer so much. Uh, but as I sort of said, I mean, I told them the what is it, the blister story. That was because of the rain, but it's finally cleared, so I'll definitely be out on the bike. I mean, fuck, I say that now, it's probably gonna start fucking shitting it down this weekend, but hopefully,
We now that you're into weather, my favorite topic, we had a week of banging sunshine last week. It started raining a bit again this week, but it was exceptional.
this actually reminds me because I was speaking with Joe Skipper for people playing Longhorn this week because Joe did a running he did a couple of running races over the weekend and he did he was telling me how good a 10-mile race is and I said a 10-mile race doesn't sound that good and he said it's like a soft half marathon. I thought, oh, but
Yeah. Yeah.
he was telling me that apparently everybody at this race was fucking dying because of the heat. He's like, mate, there were bodies everywhere. And I'm like, seriously? I'm like, how warm is it? He goes, how warm do you think it is? I'm like, well, you know, running race 16K.
Must be in the 40s.
Yeah, probably 38 plus. He's like 24 degrees Celsius. Like, you
Mate,
fucking Brits are the
we
softest bunch
cook.
of pricks.
We cook. I love a 10 mile. I used to when I was younger, much younger, but long before I knew you existed. Um, Sort of 16,
I
17, 10
choose to
miles
believe
was my
in
speciality.
some way you've always known that I existed, mate. It's always
Yeah,
been.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I won a 10-mile race once. That was my sole race victory.
We do not seem to have them in Australia. And
Do you
like the
know?
more I spoke to Joe about it, I thought, fuck, it does, because it's right? You know, you do a half marathon, you're pretty good for 16K. Like for 16 kilometers, I'm running well. And it's those last 5K that the wheels do tend to fall off a little bit because
Yeah, yeah. It's a comfy distance.
heaven forbid you ever negative split a race, Tim Ford. But yeah, so see, I wouldn't mind a 10 mile. Again, I've never seen one in Australia. And I mean, why would we? We don't do miles here, but, uh, yeah, no. Anyway,
I
I'm doing
mean,
a lot of
the
running this weekend.
the PTO distance is going to be almost a 10 mile, isn't it? 'Cause it's an
18K.
18K run. So you're going
So
to have,
11
it's going to
mile.
be less than a half marathon. So it's going to be a comfy little push that.
I've only done it the one time, and that was in Singapore where I wanted to die. So there was nothing. That was a full lap run, and I went from feeling absolutely amazing to feeling like I will die on this one course within the space of like first lap excellent, and then the last three just get me the fuck out of here. One of my closest friends who's not a triathlete in any way, shape, or form came to watch. And after the race, He's like, why do you do this to yourself? Like, why you looked miserable? Why do you pay to do this? Like, what's wrong with you? I was like, it's complicated, mate.
Yeah,
It's
the relationship
complicated.
with suffering and racing is complicated, my friend. Yeah.
It is complicated. What isn't complicated though is if you want to get exclusive content that's like this, but a little bit better, head to patreon.com/talking triathlon because you get a bonus monthly podcast, access to the WhatsApp group, Facebook group, Strava group, Fantasy League. By the way, Tim Ford leading in the Talking Triathlon fantasy picks after Yokohama on the weekend.
Are you actually at the top of it?
You saw the screenshot. I'm on top, mate.
I barely pay attention to you. I'm midfield. I know that.
Yeah,
And I
well,
know I'm behind Sean Green, and it's
yeah, you
upsetting.
and I'm at the top. I dominated.
Okay.
I dominated Yokohama, even though I had some misses, but had some good hit. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, patreon.com/talking triathlon. We really appreciate all of the wonderful people that subscribe. We recorded a bonus episode last week. There's like 10 of them now, I think.
Yeah.
So plenty of
And they're
pieces of
just
bonus
getting
content.
better, more insightful, surgical almost, I would say.
They're a lot looser, that's for sure. We
Yeah,
say
yeah.
words on this we say words on that podcast we don't say on this one. Because if we did, people would literally probably try to kill me because they already get annoyed that
Yeah,
I say the fuck so
we get a
much.
lot of messages from American people, I think.
Does make me laugh. But what doesn't make me laugh, actually didn't really make me laugh at all, was the action from Yokohama over the weekend. It is the place that I want to start. The opening round, finally, after Abu Dhabi got cancelled, of the 2024 World Triathlon Championship Series. We had a men's race, we had a women's race. Did you watch it?
I watched bits of it, yeah,
Yep.
definitely. And I certainly monitored it while it was taking place. It was ridiculous o'clock in the morning for
Mhm.
me. So it wouldn't have been a comfy wake up to properly watch it, but I woke up while it was on and had it on while I dozed my way into the day. Because it was like 4, 5 in the morning, I
Mhm.
think, and I didn't fancy quite being awake at that point. But
I did
which
think
race should we start with, the men's or the women's?
I was just gonna because I do remember you perking up at the end of the men's race, and because who
Yeah, yeah.
you were talking about someone, you were talking about I can't remember. You were making comments about one athlete in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, maybe.
Somebody we know who. Anyway, let's talk about the men's race first because I think I mean I think the women's race was phenomenal. Like I really enjoyed the women's race. I thought the men's race was absolute fucking carnage. So let's talk about the
Hauser.
carnage.
I was asking about Hauser.
Hauser, that's right. It was Hauser.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's I mean, so you've watched bits and pieces of it. You've not necessarily watched the whole thing, but you saw it. Like, do you
Yeah, I
have any?
watched bits and pieces of it. I when I woke up, I was trying to figure out if the women's race was to come or if it had already happened.
Mhm.
And then I transpired it had already happened. So I missed the entirety of the women's race. I saw flashes of the men's race and I saw the end.
What do you think of the broadcast?
Yeah, I thought it was okay, you know. Um, but I didn't see the women's race, so I haven't got any insight on that. Um, I always think they can do better. What
You
did you
know,
think of the broadcast?
I genuinely like. I hate. I think World Triathlon's doing the best job of broadcast at the moment. Like honestly, I mean, their commentary leaves a little bit to be desired, and I'll talk about some other issues. But I mean, in terms of camera angles, in terms of on-screen graphics, in terms of the package, it's pretty fucking good at the moment, mate. To be like, it really feels to me like they've elevated. I mean, they don't do a lot of the, the interviews with athletes they played during a thing, and they've only got the two commentators, so it's a bit stale and a bit vanilla. It's very
Yeah, I find the
British.
commentary a bit dry. I
Yeah,
really do.
a huge thing, and this is going to factor into a lot of what I discuss about the races, but they would not stop going on about the Olympic qualification. The commentators, like, I honestly think that if you were turned on this for the first time trying to watch triathlon, you'd be like, is this an Olympic trial or is this is meant to be the premier? This is meant to be our Premier League, right? Like this is the premier short distance format of racing, the best. And all they spoke, the entire narrative of the entire race was about the Olympic qualification. And it's like, stop that. I get that it's
I
part of
mean,
the
I suppose
narrative,
it gives them a narrative to
but
base the conversation around, doesn't it?
to me, it just like it made it feel like a hate for the there's too much
You think
focus on
it
the
devalued
Olympics.
the race itself?
100%. I'm all for mentioning it and bringing it as part of the narrative. It honestly was talked about like this was an Olympic qualification event, which it kind of is, but it shouldn't be Make it about what's happening in the race more, not about the fucking, well, this person, but it was too much. It was just this one thing that I found, and I'm going to have a rant about this later, but let's talk about the men's race because the big news out of this men's race is that Dorian Coninx, the current world champion, WTCS world champion from 2023, one of the two French athletes who only had to have a top six finish to secure his place at the Paris Olympics, was part of a huge front pack crash. The front pack was huge, and somebody went down, and Dorian Coninx was one of the people. A number of athletes went down, but he broke his, I believe, wrist and elbow. And now I've seen it definitely confirmed wrist, but there's also been talk that he's also broken his elbow. And for Dorian Coninx to secure his spot for the Olympics, he needs to have a top six place finish, I believe, by Cagliari, which is next weekend. So
Yeah. And he posted on social media, he's confirmed that he has suffered a broken wrist and elbow
in
in the
his
bike
elbow.
crash. And he posted that on Instagram. And he needs a top six finish at Cagliari. So, and he's not sure what he's going to go for surgery.
It ain't happening, is it?
So, I mean, it depends on the extent of the surgery,
It's
doesn't it?
elbow,
But I
mate.
mean,
Elbow. To like
yeah.
wrist. You could probably. I mean, I don't know if you. Again, as I said, depends on the wrist. Like I did that scaphoid in my wrist, and I couldn't hold. I could not hold on to the handlebars of my bike. Uh, But mate, this happens every year, right? Like every single Olympics we get to, this is we spoke about it on previous episodes. This is where we start to see the silly. This is why we call it the silly season, right? Is that these things start to happen. And I mean, I didn't think, to me, Dorian Coninx was the one guy who was like a lock, like a hard lock for the French team for
Mm,
the Olympics, because we know that, Vincent Louis and like to be I mean, I thought that Pierre Lecour and Dorian Coninx were 100% confirmed. I didn't realize they needed this top 16. There's talk about some weird politics happening behind the scenes to get certain French athletes into the race, but Dorian Coninx doesn't look like he's going to be able to go to the Olympics, and it's
no, I mean, following diagnosis, he's going to go and have surgery. And then, I mean, you've got four men, haven't you? Connex, Lecour, Berger, and Louis, all competing for three slots. So, without being, obviously, you'd hope that he'll get a chance, but I mean, you can't. It's not. It's surely not possible to break your wrist and elbow, even if it's just a minor break or a fracture or whatever, and then race and get a top six when we're not in a position where they've got two amazing athletes competing for two slots and they want to send them to the Olympics here, where they might go, all right, we'll just get you across the line and get you to the Olympics and see what happens because the Olympics is in July. You've got a couple of months to recover. They've got three other very decent athletes, and
yeah,
they'll probably just go, yeah, sorry, mate.
I know. And again,
We've got
like this,
people that haven't broken their wrist and elbow.
yeah, mate, and it's he won the fucking world title. Like last year, he's the number one.
Yeah.
And it's funny because how do I? You would me, the person who's quite critical of the Olympic selection and the how it's so complicated and stuff. Like I look at this and I think this is so fucking unfair on Dorian Coninx, right? Like this poor bastard has done everything in his power to secure that spot for the Olympics. Won the world title. Probably think that it's done deal. I get that, and it's like a big part of my brain goes, he should have a spot. He should have a spot secured. Give him the time to like he should be able to focus on getting better, or even crazier idea, not had to race Yokohama because he won the world title and not been in a position to crash. However, now I am, and I fucking hate to admit this, you can also understand the need to have such a last minute selection because of something. But again, it's that chicken egg, right? If he had the spot, he wouldn't have been in Yokohama, so he wouldn't have had the crash. Nothing would be broken. He'd be focusing on the Olympics. Not a problem. He had to because of their stupid selection criteria bullshit. That race was absolute fucking carnage because every man and his dog is pushing the envelope because they're all trying to secure Olympic qualification, which this close to the games, this of course is going to happen. I saw three crashes. Tyler Mislachuk and Henry Schumann. I was getting their names mixed up. Crashing each other, my two guys. What are the chances? There was another crash with one of the Swiss athletes who took a corner too hot, took out a few guys, and I think that who got caught up in that crash? Was it Leo Berger got caught up in that crash, or was it? And then there was this huge one, and this is happening because there's so much pressure, especially after Abu Dhabi getting cancelled. These athletes are taking chances and doing things that they probably wouldn't have done in the past because There's so much fucking focus on the Olympics. So I it's fucked, man. Like if nothing else, I feel really bad for Dorian Coninx. But similarly, Javier Gomez 2016 was probably the red hot favorite to me. I mean, Alistair
Mm.
obviously won it, but I don't know if you remember, but Javier Gomez went into 2016 on a rare vein of form. And to me, it was like he's going to win it. Javier's going to get the gold medal. He's going to improve on his silver from London. Broke his collarbone, I think it was something. Then last Olympics, Vince Louis, I mean, didn't have a break, still raced, but he picked up a niggle or an injury and wasn't at his best. Like it happens every single time, basically. And it's I don't know. Again, personally, my choice is let them know they've. I mean, end of the year before the Olympics, these are the athletes that are going. You can focus on it for the next few. That's what I think could be ideal. Give the athletes
Yeah,
certainty
and
and
no matter
stuff.
how many slots you've got, the ability to swap people out if there's an injury or a
Yeah,
crash as well.
reserves. Like there you go. Top.
Exactly.
These are athletes who are going to the games. You two are reserves. Everybody focus on the Olympics. If something goes wrong, we got the reserves who can slip in. It's not this. There's too much discretion.
Yeah.
There's too much focus on the Olympics. It's too complicated. It's boring. I just, yeah. But I feel really bad
Each
for Dorian
federation
Coninx.
having different styles of criteria is boring and hard to keep up with.
Yeah,
I'll grant you that because it's not the easiest sport to follow in the first place
yeah.
when it comes to the actual World Series and the points and where you get your points and how you get your points. And then when you add in all the different federations having different criteria for different selections, it does make it very almost if you're not an aficionado of the sport, you're not someone that follows it really close, almost impossible.
I mean,
You're not. It's
I mean,
not
I find
something
it
you just
impossible.
pick up and read, is it?
And a lot of the federations won't even put out their rules. Like they don't even want people to know what their selection. And again, I'm like, why is that? Why are you being transparent? What could possibly be the reason? What could possibly be the reason for a lack of transparency with selection? I don't know. I mean, but look, let's talk about the actual race because I just wanted to talk because I fucking feel really bad for Dorian Coninx. I think
Mm.
it's a really bad piece of news. He's a guy that I wanted to again, a French athlete, the reigning world champion, home Olympics. Fuck. But let's talk about the racing. Let's talk about the actual racing. You've got the summary there.
Yeah, so Morgan Pearson won it,
He
Matt
did.
Hauser in second, Luc Willant in third, Leo Berger in fourth, Charles-Barclay in fifth, and Martin Van Riel in sixth.
Do you have so how the race went, or just
I
I can
don't
get
have that in front of me.
okay.
No, I've just got the
No.
results. So
So yeah,
how
that's
did
fine.
it go as a man that watched it?
Yeah, so there was like a pretty strong swim. Big group came together on the bike, as I sort of said. It looked like that front group of athletes, that did end up having the crash. They were working pretty hard, and then it came down to that run race, and Morgan Pearson got off the bike a few seconds back, ran through. Again, I'm sorry, Paquet, the Canadian athlete, really surprised me. I haven't really seen him feature that highly. Uh, and then Luke Willen went off the front really hard. Luke Willen won the Wollongong World Cup a few weeks with a really strong run. So when he took off at the start, I thought, fuck, we could be on here. Like, this guy, because for Australia, I think you need to have a top
Yeah.
eight finish to qualify. And he got passed by Morgan Pearson, who again just is what a legend of an athlete. He was like my outside pick. I think I picked him for second actually behind Leo Berger, and he held on. And then Hauser passed him probably like just over a K to go. And then you had Hauser, who's really good mates with Luke. Like, one of my favorite things was to see Hauser celebrating Luke securing his Olympic spot. So Hauser's cross line in
Yeah.
second. He's pointing back at Luke. Like this, Matt Hauser
They're
was so
flatmates,
excited.
aren't they?
I don't know, to be honest, but
Apparently they're flatmates. And it was cool to see that at the end. You know, Hauser obviously gave Pearson a well done and a congratulations, but the real celebration was between those two as they crossed the line.
I think Morgan Pearson as well. Like he to me, he is he's a real threat for the Olympics. Like the way he runs, in fact, the way he races, right? Like we talk about Hayden and Alex a lot. I still think Alexi to me is it's a foregone conclusion unless something happens. Even though Hayden did that incredible, Hayden did that crazy fast 5K the other day. I still think Alex has Hayden's number. Morgan Pearson is at the moment for me. Alex Hayden and Morgan are my top three. In what order? I'd probably say Morgan one, sorry, Alex one, Hayden and Morgan. I don't know. Uh, Christian Blumenfeld got dropped on the run, so Christian's still
Yeah,
a fair what
10th place.
10th place. Never really looked like threatening on the run either. Like he just looked. He was up there on. We know Christian's exceptional biker. He was up there on that, but he just never even like he didn't look. He never looked dangerous to me, and
The story of ninth and 10th is an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's two very different reactions from me. I see Vince Louis in ninth, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good,
yeah,
you know.
come
And then
back
I
from
see
injury.
Christian Blumenfeld in 10th, and I'm like, oh, you know,
Yeah,
what's happening, Christian?
yeah, and like I said,
Where's the form?
and it's very interesting to compare it to the Olympics in 2021 because I believe he won. I think he won this race in 2021.
Mm.
Then went to the Italian race, wasn't great, and we thought, oh, maybe he's peaked too early, and he nailed it. So you never count him out, but he doesn't look like his run is nowhere near is nowhere near where it used to be. And all the talk we've heard them saying about their numbers being much better than they were before Tokyo, I'm calling bullshit at the moment, to be honest, because Christian isn't. Christian goes out to any race Christian Blumenfeld is in, he wants to win the fucking thing, and he wasn't able to. Uh, and the fact that Vince Louis, who
How big a
is
factor were the bike crashes in this?
I don't think Christian was caught up in the bike crash. I know that Leo Berger was. Vasco Valasa was caught up in one of them. I think Vasco Valasa DNF'd. I can't remember. Uh,
27th.
okay, but no, I don't think he was. I don't think Christian was. I think he sort of got clear of it. Other little shit. Martin Van Riel was what sixth place, I
Martin Van
think.
Riel doing very Martin Van Riel things, eh? Finishing sixth.
Yeah, I think
Very
is it.
much sort of, his territory.
Yeah, again another guy that I have nothing but love for Martin Van Riel,
Yeah,
which
he's
is
a
really
good
good.
man, isn't he?
Johnny Brownlee, mate, fuck, miles off,
Yeah.
miles off.
Yeah, it's a lot of scrolling to get down and find that
29th,
man.
29th, I think.
38th.
That fool. Uh,
38th out of 47 finishes. So, you know, not a great not a great showing for that man.
what's again? I don't understand what is going on with British triathlon when you consider the funding, the resources, and everything, and you've got so many great women and seemingly one man at the moment. Alex Yee,
Yes.
where's everyone at? What's going
Yeah.
on? What I don't get it.
I don't know, but I mean, at the moment, do you think they can ever justify giving him that final slot for the
I don't think.
Olympics?
I mean, I saw Tim Hemming made some good points, right? His swim and bike's up there. Like he's not getting dropped on the swim and bike, and the run is 1 mile, so it's not like a 10K race, right? So maybe he can hang on. But I just don't know. I mean, I've said it before. I still don't buy into the hype of Hugo Milner. He got exposed at this race, mate. Like his swim and bike is nowhere near. It's not competitive, right? At this point, I'm sure it will come. I've said it last week. I said Hugo Milner will go to the Olympics. It shouldn't be this Olympics though. I in no universe do I think you put Hugo Milner on that team. And Sam Dickinson, I just don't see it, mate. I don't know. I mean, honest, and I'm not trying to be biased here. I genuinely think you've got to give up on the. Like, you've got Alex Y's your one shot at individual medal for Britain, right? Alex Y to me is probably going to win the gold, definitely a medal unless something goes wrong. So you got to turn your attention to the mixed team relay, and that's why I think Max. But Max has been ruled ineligible, so
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
that's the thing, isn't it? Because they've got another slot. They've got Yi in another slot. None of the other male contenders, in my mind, are
Worthy,
individual medal contenders.
none.
So you've got to think about the mixed relay or someone that on their day could have an absolute Hail Mary.
It's Johnny. Well,
But
that's
even
Johnny
out
then,
in
isn't it?
that,
That's Johnny to me
that's
then.
Johnny. That's it. That's what I'm gonna say. Out of the other
Yeah.
names, Johnny's the only one that's got that kind of pedigree and experience where if he just had an absolute blinder from the history books, you never know what could happen. Max, a good option for the mixed relay, but due to a technicality, and I'll read this verbatim. To be eligible to participate in the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, all athletes must represent the same national federation during the whole qualification period. That's athlete eligibility, paragraph C, point 3.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
He did within 1 day. He did a race for Australia. I've been dealing with that with Max for a few weeks, but we decided to. That's where it is. Yes. So, yeah, man, I just don't get what's going. I honestly, I don't get it. Yeah, like you look at. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much more. But again, for Australia,
What are the other names? What are the other names? Sam Dickinson, Barkley Izzard, Max Stapley, and Hugo Milner.
it's none of them.
Yeah, it is. It is a none of them type situation,
It's Johnny.
which
It's Johnny, man. It has to be. I
yeah,
can't.
it's got to be Johnny, isn't it? It's got
For,
to be
for what you
Johnny.
said, right?
He's not
If
going to go and race Cagliari
no,
because there isn't an automatic qualification criteria connected with that race. So I think because there's no point in going and racing a race where he can't draw a line in it, I think he's going to prep for the next opportunity.
how I look at it, right? Is you've got what do we got? 2 months, May, June, June, July. 2 months to the Olympics. Who do you think is going to improve the most in 2 months? And to me, it's Johnny Brownlee.
Yeah.
His swim and bike's good enough, and his run's crap at the moment. But within 2 months of specific work, he might fucking walk the run in the individual. I don't know. But if they get him to focus purely on that super sprint distance, it's short enough that you can sort of fake it till you make it a bit, right? And
Flag it.
even if you're a bit off, it's not going to blow out the way 10 kilometers will. So, and again, Hugo Milner's run exceptional, but the swim and the bike is so far off that you can
Yeah.
because the run is so short in that mixed team relay, you're not able to make up the deficits you're going to lose on the swim and bike with that killer run. So, yeah, it's Johnny Brownlee to me. Um, but look, the as I said, the Australian team, we now got our two male athletes, which
I
is
mean, Johnny did beat Hugo Milner at the weekend.
correct. Mate,
He
I
came
guess
39th.
I
So,
know.
you know.
Did you see? Yeah, I just don't. I've seen so many people talking about him as an Olympic, and I'm like, it ain't it. No, stop it. Stop. You're overinflating it. He'll get there, right? Just not. You should not pick him for this Olympics. He's not. I don't get why there's so much hype around him, to be honest. Like, I'm yet to see him. I bought into the hype after in that New Zealand race earlier this year, and he left me wanting. And then he did Super League E games, and he left me wanting. And then he did this, and he left me wanting. So let's just stop, stop it. He's not there yet. Um. Anyway, what about anything else about the men's race? I guess the Australians got their
No,
spots.
that's about it. Can Tyler please stop having such bad luck? Please
Tyler
do
and
something about it, mate.
Tyler and Henry, can my two athletes leave each other?
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
saw it, I was like,
Other than that,
you've got to be fucking shitting. Like, what are the chances of everyone in that field? My two guys crashing into each other. Um,
yeah.
Typical. But they're both, I should say, they're both okay. Just a lot of road rash, so no major damage, which is good. But again, I just fucking Tyler. I said to Tyler, from this point on, you're forbidden from racing in Japan, mate. Like I will not allow you to do any more races. Japan is off limits to you. Tore your Achilles last time, or 2 years, the Olympics you tore your Achilles. Now this, so and then poor Henry's lining up in Mexico. Henry's got a crazy few weeks. He's doing Mexico, Horticalo World Cup and mixed team relay this weekend, and then he's off to Cagliari the weekend after for South Africa, covered in road rash.
Is both of them are they secured spots for the Olympics?
I mean, neither has been announced, but they have both met the criteria to be selected for their country. So let's put it that
Okie
way.
dokie. Cool.
Uh,
So read between the lines.
yes, women's race. Women's
Yeah.
race
Okay.
was exceptional.
Yeah. So Leon, I
I
picked
mean,
Tyler Knibb. Taylor. For fuck's sake, we were just talking about him. That's why I did the name switch.
Tyler Knibb.
Picked Taylor Knibb for the win. Second place, mate.
Second place. Not close though. Like it wasn't a close second place. She was
No.
Leonie Perriot absolutely fucking dominated this. Mate, she took off on the run and toodaloo mother. Like she was gone. We
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
we know how, and again, I'm guilty of this here a bit, right? Like having a short memory. We know how good a runner and an athlete Leonie Perriot is. She was done at the end of last year when I was at Super League with her. She was tired. I think she had a long season. She was a bit over it. And I think it's probably tainted like I didn't even factor her into this decision making, but she was so good on that run. And again, it was a good race to see where that group got away, stayed away, and then the winners came out of that group. Like it was a really,
Yeah, I hear you. And I certainly hear you on there are certain athletes that I need to work on, do some work with myself a little bit and remind myself to pick a bit more.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Because they don't, like you say, she didn't factor into my criteria to put to win this race, and that's on me. That was a bad call because definitely the pedigree's there, the ability's there, and Christ, what a performance!
Can you give me? Do you have the top 10 there? Because I can't remember
I
where
do.
Flora came. Because Flora was sixth or ninth,
Laura was seventh.
seventh. I was
So
wrong.
second place was Taylor Knibb.
Yep.
Third was Emma Lombardi.
Yep.
Fourth, Taylor Spivey. I fucking told you.
I
Fifth,
picked for
Kirsten
fourth.
Casper. Hey.
I picked for fourth because she's always fourth. Like I think when
Oh
I
no, I just
interviewed her,
picked her as the American that was gonna be the top female
yeah.
American.
Oh, mate.
Um,
Well, she wasn't. She was second
and
top American, but um,
yeah, I'm talking about
I'm
those that
just
haven't
teasing.
got
I'm just
Olympic
teasing you.
qualification slots,
I'm just teasing
motherfucker. So out of those that are competing to get, annoyingly, fourth place didn't get her that automatic qualification.
For surely,
You know, third would have
surely,
done it.
surely she's gonna have like. Come on, what? Just again, just give her the
Yeah,
spot.
yeah.
Just give her the
But
spot.
Kirsten Casper again in fifth. Now, yeah, Flora was seventh.
Who was sixth?
Uh, Sixth, Anna Godoy.
Okay, from Spain.
Um, yeah. Kate Woff
10th.
in 10th. Just picking out some salient names. Gwen Jorgensen in 15th. Who else is worth a mention? They're all worth a mention. If anyone's listening, you're all worth a mention. I just don't want to read out
Well,
55
like
names.
I sort of said, with the way the race unfolded, we had that group, and you know, the group committed. Maya Kingma, I mean Maya, we have we've sort of seen missing a lot, like really not seen much of her the last couple of years, really. She had that great race in Bermuda. Was it Bermuda last year, the year before? But had a puncture on the bike, and then got dropped to that group that had the Gwens and stuff in it. And I'm having a mind blank. Bronze medalist, British Vicky Holland. So there was that group, but yeah, Maya couldn't run through the way that some of those other athletes did. But as soon as I got off the bike, that group of maybe 8 athletes off the top of my head, 8, 6, Kate Woff and Emma Lombardi went straight to the front, and then Kate went to the front, and then the only ran through, and Taylor had. It was actually fascinating to watch Taylor Knibb race the bike in particular at this event because we saw in Yokohama last year she did this trick where she dropped back off the group and then she'd attack. And she spent a lot of time sitting outside the back, to be honest, like, probably 10, 15, almost like a non-drafting race, to be honest. But she never seemed to put in those big attacks, or if she did, we never saw them because they were sort of neutralized quite quickly. But she just ran through up to second, but was never in danger of Leonie Perriot and past Emma Lombardi. But yeah, it was
Fuck,
just
she's a good athlete, though, isn't she?
fucking hell, man. Like every,
I mean, for reasons we'll talk about in a minute.
it's just
Like,
ridiculous, isn't it?
it's fucking ridiculous. I love it. I
It's
love it.
I don't think I still don't think she's going to win the gold medal. I think she could probably get I think she could get an individual medal. I think she'll get a mixed
Yeah,
team relay medal, but I don't think she's probably
I
there.
think she could be on the podium in the individual.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't see her on the top of the podium,
No,
but her ability
it's just
is astounding.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Fuck again, once in a generation athlete that we're seeing come through. Uh,
Vicky Holland's worth a shout, 18th place on her comeback race. Good on her.
so let's talk about we've sort of went through this with the American women's team in particular because this was a big deal for America. I think you had to get a podium to secure a
Yes.
spot.
If you got a podium, it secured your spot, basically.
So no podiums. I mean, sorry, apart from Taylor Knibb, who's already qualified, there was no other
Yeah,
female
yeah.
athletes on the podium.
There's the caveat.
Yeah.
We both know that.
It's now official. We will not. Taylor Knibb is removed from the discussion in terms of qualification. The athlete that I think had the biggest hype leading into this race about qualification was Gwen Jorgensen.
Yes.
Again, I do not think there is a way in which you can pick Gwen Jorgensen based on this
No.
performance. To me,
No, I don't think she's proved herself.
she also doesn't have
She's
a
an
starting.
amazing athlete.
Yep,
Love
no
what she's
starting
trying to achieve.
Cagliari. She got subbed out for Katie Zafiris, and I actually think that's fair. To be honest, I think I want to see what Katie Zafiris can do because to me, Katie Zafiris has still got a question mark. To me, it's Taylor Spivey is the obvious second choice. And from that, I mean, again, Kirsten Casper, I'd not factored into. I never even really thought of Kirsten Casper as a potential third spot for the US until this performance. So I think it's only fair that Katie is given the chance next week to show us where she's at. Uh, who would you be picking apart? Because I think we can both agree on Taylor Spivey is the second spot for both of
Yeah.
us, right? Who's the third
Yeah.
person you
That
pick for America?
I mean, there's two answers to this for me.
Let's hear them.
My my head
Hmm.
says Kirsten Casper probably
Okay, interesting.
would be a good shout. My heart, because I know she's such a lovely person. I've spent time with her. I really, really enjoy her company, and I think she's an amazing athlete. Would be Katie Zafiris.
See, I'm going to say Katie Zafiris. To me, is at this point in time, I'd be going with Katie Zafiris. Similar, I suppose, to what we were talking about with Johnny Brownlee, right? If there's an athlete on that women's team who you can actually see doing something unbelievable, no, unbelievable is the wrong word, surprising or exceptional or stepping up when it matters,
She's definitely in that category, isn't she?
it's
She's in
Katie.
that sort of, yeah,
I would
historic legend category.
I would not have I would not have bet a dollar on Katie Zafiris getting a bronze medal in Tokyo. I didn't think she should have been picked. Like I wouldn't have picked Katie Zafiris for Tokyo. And again, it's why I'm not the selector. Uh, she bronze medal, right? She's also won Super League how many times? I know that she's, not the same athlete she was back then, but she's not a bad athlete.
She's
Uh,
only 34, mate.
correct.
You know, it's
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
To me,
It ain't like,
yeah,
but yeah, Spivey's got to go, hasn't she? She's got
has
to
to,
go.
has to
She's so
again.
fucking good.
But I suppose the question they get again, how I look at it, right, is for America, Taylor Knibb is probably going to get a medal. Probably. Taylor Spivey has finished fourth so many times that statistically, you'd say she's probably not going to medal. She'll probably finish fourth statistically. Katie could finish with a medal or could finish farther back. Okay. So they've secured,
Olympic final is a funny race.
correct, 100%. So yeah, you turn your attention to the mixed team relay, right? And what's fascinating is I'm still not convinced that you put Taylor Knibb in the mixed team relay, which is a big call because, and again, because she silver medaled at Tokyo. She's obviously, but I don't have enough data to to make an assessment of her because we know she's very good at the Olympic distance. We know she's very, very good at 70.3 distance. Never raced Super
Mm.
League. She's done like
Yeah, we don't know what she's like over that super sprint.
so. What I'm then thinking is he's Taylor Spivey, very good at Super League. Katie Zafiris has been very good at Super League. Last year, not as good, but still. So it is. I mean, you're probably going to put Nib in the mixed team relay anyway. So it's that second act. Yeah, it's a conundrum. But for me at this point in time, and it's going to change between now and probably next weekend. It's Taylor Nib, Taylor Spivey, and Katie Zafiris would be my three picks.
But do you know what Taylor Knibb is fucking good at?
Yes, I do. Tell me.
She's good at a 33.7 kilometer time trial, mate,
Hell, mate, this
which she did
is
in 41:54. So she secured her spot for the second individual event at Paris Olympic Games. 4 days after finishing second in Yokohama, she she smashed her first national time trial in the US.
she was
Astounding.
what's she fifth last year? Fifth last year, third last
Yeah,
year.
something like that. It
But
was I might have it here.
it was in the WhatsApp
Talk
groups.
about
Somebody
something.
put it in the WhatsApp
Right.
group, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but the main thing is she's now going to the Olympics for three events. How
She
crazy is
is.
that?
She is. And it's astounding. The ability to become second at, what is the premier event in triathlon and then recover that quickly over 4 days and go and win your national time trial
And
is
yeah, look,
truly astounding.
I mean, obviously, I am the world's biggest cycling fan, but I do like to give you the chance to try to upskill a little bit and impress people because it's a bit boring when it's me doing it all the time. But Taylor Knibb, could we see her like we talk about Cam Worth and sort of his domestic, like could we see Taylor Knibb racing the Grand Tour, like the women's Grand Tours or anything? Like, is she good enough to go and do the Tour de France Femme and things like that?
I think if she really focused and specialized on that, then yes, without question, she has that ability in her.
Do you think she should?
Quite where she would sit in that hierarchy of cyclists, it would be that would be an interesting thing to find out when she decided to focus on pro cycling and the pro tour. Um, but she's certainly without question got a huge engine.
Any other triathletes qualified for more than one event at the Olympics before? Is she the first triathlete to do it? I know you don't know.
That
I'm
is it's a question I don't know the answer to.
just let's brainstorm it a little bit. Does anybody come to mind immediately? Because to me, no one comes to mind in terms of Olympic. It
No,
might be maybe
no one's coming to mind
maybe a smaller
unless
nation.
you count the mixed team relay and the individual as separate events,
No, no.
but they're both triathlon. So
But it's phenomenal. Like this is something where, yeah, it's just like, how good is this? How good is this woman at riding a bike and swimming? And she's
she's
just
just, yeah, I mean, riding a bike specifically, she's fucking incredible at it.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
madness.
she's got natural and very, very well trained talent in her. And, you know, if she did want to go and focus on the world tour, I'm quite sure she could be. I'm sure Trek Team Factory Racing or Team Factory Racing as they're called with the Trek bikes, they would take her on, I'm sure. I'm sure they would as a project.
I just think you think about the way she was in Kona last year when she was absolutely ripping it and like talking with the comment, like talking with the motorbike and stuff. This like didn't even look, just never looked hard. Like she looks like she's working hard on the. Every time I see her running, like she gets that look on her face, and you can tell she's working, but she just never looks. She never looks uncomfortable on a bike. Like it just
Mm.
always looks, and she's absolutely ripping the legs. Like she'd be ripping the legs. That TT, she'd be ripping the legs off a lot of men at that performance. Like it's
Oh
like
yeah,
male
without question.
triathletes. Man, just it's exceptional, exceptional. And again, I really.
What do you think competing in the time individual time trial event will do to her individual race in
Do
the
you know when it is?
triathlon? Yes, it's on the 27th of July, which is
So it's
4 days
before.
before the women's individual triathlon race on the 31st.
Okay,
5 days later, the mixed team relay.
now this is an interesting conundrum. I mean, based on what she's done this week, she can clearly recover very quickly because she's gone from podium in Yokohama, traveling from Japan back to America, prepping, getting ready, winning. So she can clearly handle that. Again, however, though, if you're USA Triathlon, do you want your medal favorite doing another event 4 days before? I mean, I don't think they can stop her, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna play. How deep is she going? That I don't I don't know. Does she think
I'm
she can
quite
medal?
sure that her performance would be better in the triathlon if she was not to do a all-out effort at the TT 4 days before. I'm not saying it will dent her chances of a medal because she might be head and shoulders above the person she's racing for that medal.
Mm,
What I'm saying is, I know we all know physiologically your chance it's going to impact you. It's going to have some effect on you
mm.
from a energy standpoint, recovery standpoint. You know, whatever you would have done in the build up to that race, you're going to alter it slightly because you've done a time trial.
Well, not many people are going to be doing a flat out, however long the time trial race is,
No.
4 days out from the Olympics. So yeah,
But
again,
what I'm saying is that that impact, that could also be a positive one.
yeah, it could.
Whatever the impact is, there's going to be an impact. And it could
Well,
be that she is designed in such a way, built in such a way that an all-out time trial effort might just rev the engine perfectly with then a 4 day little mini taper and boom, you go and get your best performance out.
and don't forget, like, let's even move aside the physiological thing. If she has a really good race at that individual time trial, the psychological
No
benefit and the
brainers alone.
confidence and the momentum that could make her go into this. Go, nobody's going to come. Fuck it. I just want a
Yeah.
medal, or I just top five at the Olympics in the time trial.
Yeah. I
No,
am the
ain't
bollocks.
nobody coming in. You want to try to come with me? Good luck. Like it really could
Yeah.
have a real positive. So man, it certainly adds another dynamic to it, right? Like I love it though. I am all for this. I think it's fantastic, and I'm excited to see how it unfolds. But yeah, Taylor Knibb, literally, guys, we're you're this is a career that people are going to look back on and be like one of the best ever, if not the greatest to do it. Like we're watching it happen. So I think it's very often it's difficult to appreciate things that are happening while they're happening. I'm telling you now, we are watching something amazing happen. So just
Yeah, yeah.
bask in its
I
glory. Enjoy the
I
ride.
think she's in that sort of Mathieu van der Poel
Mm,
category of excellence right now.
yeah. And every other female triathlete better watch out because I don't think she's going to go to another Olympics. I don't believe. Middle and long course distance better watch out the next few years, I think, because yeah, she's coming. Taylor's coming, and it's gonna be something. Uh, and yeah, we had
Mallorca.
Mallorca 70. I don't have heaps to
Mallorca
say.
70.3.
The broadcast was unwatchable. It
Oh,
was
was it?
it was
That's a
fucking
shame.
mate. I turned it on. I turned it on, and firstly, it wasn't easy. I couldn't. I think I put up in the WhatsApp group a photo of my 8K 55-inch TV, which was turned
Yeah.
off, and instead my what is it, 22-inch MacBook Pro open with the race on in front of my TV because of course you can't just watch. There's not like World Triathlon has an app, YouTube has an app. There's not an app on my TV that I could easily watch the race on, so I had to watch it on the Ironman Pro website. And again, thank you. Somebody on Instagram messaged me and told me that, so I appreciate that.
You couldn't be
But
asked to get your HDMI cable out.
no, and I don't want to because then I've got to unplug another thing, and then I shouldn't have to, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
I shouldn't have to. If it's a I'm a triathlon fan and I probably would, but we shouldn't be think about the person who doesn't want to do that because anyway, turns it on first thing, copies like 5 minutes of ads. And I go, well, this is and God bless them. But then the commentators are talking about how they drank too much tequila and they don't drink tequila anymore. And I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? And I tried and I watched it for maybe 10 minutes and I went, I have much better things to do with my life than this, and turned it off and watched the tracker instead. And I don't regret my choice at all, to be honest, because it was
No.
just, it's not,
I
it's,
mean, a broadcast has got to be bad when a tracker is the preference, eh?
it just wasn't something I wanted to spend my time doing. I didn't even want to have it on while I did something else. Uh, and again, this is the first chance I've had to watch the Ironman Pro Series broadcast. It's nothing different to what I've seen before, except maybe more ads. I mean, the graphics seemed pretty good, but again, they weren't updating as quickly as they should. Again, Ironman don't seem to really tried anything different, but no, it won't. It wasn't it. But the actual racing looked quite good. That's
Mm.
the funny part is the racing actually looked like it was quite good. Now, in the lead up to this, I think you had Jan Stratman as your winner. I had Mathis Margerier as my winner. Uh,
Yes.
and the
Neither of
winner,
us picked the actual winner, Nicholas
yes,
Mann from Germany,
yes.
who won it in 3:49.19. But Jan Stratman came second in 3:49.27. So, under 10 seconds behind the
Who
leader.
was third?
Gregory Barnaby from
the,
Italy.
the Italian with the least Italian name I've ever heard in my
Yeah.
life. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Margerier came fourth. Now, what was
Yeah.
really good with this race, Margerier was off the front for like all day. And I remember tuning being like, I am going to rub this in James Bell's face so badly because I'm going to have picked both the men's and women's race and put
He's
my
a
tracker down.
fader, though, mate. And that's why I didn't pick him because he fades.
Well, I put my tracker down, went and did something, so confident that it's game over. Picked it back. I was, what the hell has happened? What's going on? He's dropped 3 places in the space of 2 kilometers, and that's what happened. He just must have faded. Again, I don't know if there was a problem or something, but he went from first to fourth, and yeah, it was. I mean, I'm sure it would have been entertaining to watch for those couple of minutes compared to watching the rest of the paint drying that broadcast was, but. I didn't hang around for it. And I don't really have, I mean, Patrick Lang was what, 13th, 14th, I think. But like
17th. 17th in
minutes back.
4:02.22.
Yeah, minutes back, like a
Yeah,
long way
yeah.
back. So that's not going to be very good points for the overall pro series for Lang, who has been on this. And again, it shows, right? Like we aren't used to seeing him do this many races this early in the season, and
No,
he's
no, no.
clearly fatigued. Uh, no, Rico Bergen was meant to be there, but he didn't. But I don't have much more to say about the men's
Biggest,
race.
biggest story of the race, though, is a DNF.
Of course, sorry, I do have. Like, what am I talking? There's heaps to talk about. There's 2 DNFs to talk about in this race, actually. The first one
So yeah,
being
Gustav Iden didn't finish, and neither did Youri Keulen. Oh, so there were a selection of other DNFs, but those are the names of note.
so Gustav Iden had a mechanical. I think it was a flat tire, I believe, and DNF'd. Which, again, from what I understand, is from people on the ground who sort of spoke to him, is Gustav is trying to qualify or ratify his Kona slot by the 2 Ironman 70.3 approach. So do two 70.3s as a champion, you get to go back and do it. He has to do another two Ironmans now, 70.3s. So he has to find that. But apparently wasn't happy. Really just wanted to go and finish a race. Wasn't happy. Fair enough. We don't really have a lot to say based on that. We didn't get enough of a
No,
sample to
no.
see where he's at. So I don't really again, yep, sucks. I guess we'll see him on a few start races sooner now because he has to get the spot for Kona. However, Youri Keulen is a person to talk about because there's been plenty of stuff going around about Youri
So much
Keulen lately.
speculation about this man, eh?
We even got an email about the PTO about Youri Keulen this week. So firstly, Youri Keulen last year got a lot of heat, and even this year, I mean, we saw the Frederick Funk Youri Keulen sort of incident, I guess you call it, in Singapore this
Little
year.
moment between them both.
The moment, which isn't a bad thing. But Youri Keulen's got a lot of heat in the last year, I suppose, for drafting. Basically, a lot of people. You listen to some other podcasts. He's a drafter. That's the reputation he has, and yeah, he got a drafting penalty pretty quickly on the bike, and pulled out afterwards. Now that's fascinating. I think read into that what you want, but I think the more pressing matter to talk about with Youri Keulen was news, and I don't know if we discussed this, we might have mentioned it, but there was a lot of talk that Youri Keulen had been given a PTO contract to race the rest of the season. I know a lot of people have been talking about this. I'd seen posts on social media about it. I think it had been mentioned on other podcasts. PTO emailed us this week to tell us that that is in fact not the case. Youri Keulen does not have a T100 contract. And I
Yes,
also
they
know
wanted
that
to catch us before we recorded. They said he's got no contract, and neither has he ousted another athlete from a contract. He remains subject to the rules around wildcards and will need to receive an invite to race depending on the availability of slots at each race, which I think fucking brilliant. When I heard rumors and rumblings from other news sources that he'd been given a contract, my brain's like, well, we've got who's he forced who's either given up a slot or is there an extra slot? And in my mind, it would devalue what they're trying to do.
mm,
You've got these athletes, they've bought into it, they're the contracted athletes,
some
and the
have.
wildcard system is as such, yeah, well, is as such that that's exactly what can happen. A
Yep.
wild card can come along and, have a wild card moment. It doesn't mean that you've got to shit the bed and be like, oh, we better get this guy in now.
But
Just,
triathlon does
just,
what triathlon does,
yeah,
mate.
and they haven't, which is
Yes,
great.
which is good.
But yeah, just take it for what it is. He was a brilliant performance from a wild card on his day. And if there's another opportunity further down the field to give him another wild card slot because some contract athletes aren't there, cool. And then he will build his ability to get that contract whenever he is in a position to get it. What you can't, I think they just end up chasing their tails if they were giving if it was panic contract giving out from whichever wild card won the next race.
I also
Because
just
let's
think it
say someone like Hayden Wild comes along, he's got every capacity to win a T100 race. He gets a
Mhm.
wild card at one event, and then they panic give him a contract as well, and they're
Exactly.
messing with their own system.
And as well, even the idea, and I get it, right? Like Youri Keulen's leading the series. He's won a race. He's had a fourth place at another one. Like he's factored. But to me, at least, those wild cards are about trying to think of athletes who are going to help assist get more eyeballs on the race, create more interest in the race. And again, no disrespect to Youri Keulen, but there's other athletes at certain rate. I'd love to see them give Hayden Wild a wild card over Youri Keulen. I'd love to see. There's athletes I would like to see them go. No, let's. Like, you're going to add a different element to this race. So I mean, like I said, I think it's. I'm glad that they came out and because yeah, it's. Don't trust everything you read on the internet, guys. Like unless it sort of comes from and by official source, I mean from the body or like an actual media outlet, not guys like us
Yeah,
on the internet just talking on a microphone.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
be a little bit cautious about what's considered factual because I think there's been a fair bit of stuff going around lately that there's like a race often to try to get stuff out, and it's sometimes at the sacrifice of accuracy. So yeah, just
And also at the sacrifice of checking and making sure and trying to make it look like you've got information and news and facts just to get that click. And that's a real shame, I think,
mm.
because it eats away at the integrity of what the media landscape's trying to achieve.
And it just also shows how quickly this stuff can spread, right? Like
Yeah,
I had so many people talk to me about the Yuri Cooling contract. I was like, oh, I don't know, I've not heard that. It's probably a reason we
yeah.
didn't talk about it really that much because it's but yeah, look, Good. Well done, PTO. Is there other stuff in the email they wanted us to talk about? I can't remember.
Yeah, there was another thing just to mention while we're on the topic. They've got a new 5% rule, which is brought in for the 2024 PTO World Rankings. Previously, only iron distance races could earn athletes a 5% bonus on top of their score. Now, middle distance races are also included. So each athlete's single best score in gold, silver, or bronze tier race, whether iron distance or middle distance, will get a 5% bump in the points. It came as an initiative from the PTO Athlete Board, supported by the PTO's commercial side, to address the potential of a closed league for the T100. They've already seen some very high points scored calculated via the new 5% rule, so it would certainly do the job of allowing non T100 athletes to increase their rankings.
Which to me tells me that because we asked this question before the season started, and like, no, we don't think
We
it'll be a
did.
factor. It's clearly a factor. Like it's clearly
Yeah.
shown that
Yeah.
the way these rankings and these points are going with these T100 races, it's basically made it impossible for athletes to get good rankings. So it's a reaction. But again, well done. Good for them to not put their
Yeah.
head in the sand and go, no, this isn't a thing. No, we've noticed this is a problem. We fixed it. Well done. Or it's a part of a solution. Do you want to say anything about that?
They've
Or
also, there was one more thing. There was
yep.
something about being able to watch the races on their PTO platform. People in Europe can now watch the races on their PTO platform when the races are on. So
Not just Eurosport. Okay, that's good
there you
because
go.
that's a big
Google it.
piece of
You'll
feedback
find
we'd
it.
heard.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
last thing to talk about this week, because we are doing pretty well for time, mate, is the Challenge Championship is happening this weekend in Shamarin in Slovakia. Our thoughts, I guess,
This is
go
the
out with
race I
the.
wait for every year.
I guess the people of their president got attempted assassination this week, so sorry about that,
I think
Slovakia.
he's recovering. Hope he's all right.
Excellent. But we're here to talk about the big race, not a cha not the championship
Yep.
race that is happening in
This is the one.
Slovakia at the
This is the one.
X.
Sunday, May 19th, with the men kicking off 8:30 local time, which is 7:30 in the UK and 2:30 in the afternoon on the East Coast.
Got the start lists?
So it's the women start 10 minutes later, and the full commentary is available on all manner of different media platforms. So Google it and you will find it.
Have you got the start lists?
I've got a few names
I can
here.
bring it up. I can find it.
Have you got it?
Yep, give me a second.
Frederick Funk is racing. Rico Bogan is racing.
I
Jan
can do it.
Stratman is
I've got it.
racing.
Do you want to go through it?
Okay.
Peter Heimrich, Jan Stratman, Frederick Funk, Casper Stepaniak, Rico Bergen, Carl Smith, Joe Skipper, Mark Dubrick, Christian Hogenhag, Tom Bishop, Bart Arnott's, surprisingly, Josh Lewis, Kurt McDonald, mate, this is Matt Troutman, Jesper Svensson, Mickey Tagholt, Harry Palmer. Who else do I know on this list? Thomas Davis, Nicholas Chase. There's lots and lots and lots of names on this list, but there's some big names on that list. The obvious big names that come to mind for me: Peter Heimrich, Frederick Funk, Kasper Stepaniak is doing so well for a Polish athlete. It's not really. He's constantly up there or thereabouts. Rico Borgen, obviously world champion. Carl Smith,
Yeah.
Joe
He's
Skipper.
the biggest name on the list. Go on, Rico. Go
Come
on,
on, Rico.
son. Love it.
70.3 world champion. But
Yeah,
mate,
fucking
men's
have it,
race.
son. Have it. Go and have it.
How do you see this going?
Rico off the front from gun to tape, mate.
You think he's
No,
wow? Hey, I mean,
no,
but
I don't.
okay, he's a
We'll
very good
see. We'll
swimmer.
see. I think Jan Stratman's in a rich vein of form. Peter Heimrich is definitely not good, not one to be messed with.
I think there's a lot that could happen with this race with some of these, like again, Tom Bishop, Carl Smith. I mean, Peter
Yeah.
Heimrich. I will never not factor Peter Heimrich into any race he does these days. He really, just showed. Never count him out. Joe, I have to, I have to. I think Joe's, got the potential to have a decent performance. I don't expect him to win just because he's a Ironman specialist. But if I had again, I think it's Carl Smith. Carl Smith to me is my guy that I'm backing. He was good, not great in Singapore. The conditions are going to suit Kyle a lot better here. He's also given up on the Olympics, so he's fully focused on long course racing. I think it's going to be Carl Smith. I'm going to Carl Smith, Peter Heimrich, and Rico Borgen for the podium. They're my three.
Okay. I am gonna go Peter Heimrich, Jan Stratman, Rico Borgen.
Good. I think that's good. I
Mm.
think Jan's going to be a bit tired after last week, so
We'll see.
we'll see. In the women's
And
race, or do you want to say anything else?
no. Have you got the start list for the women's race?
I do. We have India Lee, Els Visser, Carolyn Pole, Fenella Langridge, Laura Madsen, Anna Bergston. I'm just trying to find some names. Lottie Lucas. I'm not going to pronounce names I can't pronounce because people get angry at us. And that there are, to me at least, the
Nella
obvious.
Langridge is there.
Yep, Vanilla. It's India Lee for me.
India Lee is the defending champion,
Yeah.
plus her victory in Miami T100, and she was sick in the last T100, so that doesn't reflect where she's at. So in my mind, India is the number one for this one.
Laura Madsen is what I'm again an athlete I'm sort of watching with interest. She's uh she's doing some things. Those Danes are very, very good on the bike. India, Els Visser has also been in a rich fame and form lately. Els Els podiumed at Singapore, I believe, actually, off the top of my head. Is that right? She did, right?
I believe so.
She was,
Yeah.
yeah, thank God. Yes, I'm going to go India Lee, Els Visser, and yeah, I'm going to put oh, do I do Fenella or do I do Fenella? I'll go Laura. You can go Fenella. There we go.
India
Okay.
Lee in first. Yeah. Yeah.
You gonna
I
watch
mean,
this race?
it depends when I've just said when it is, isn't it?
7:30 UK
When is
time
it?
on Sunday.
No, I'll be racing myself.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, your race will
Be
go for a lot
setting a
less.
10K record, mate, somewhere.
Well, just
So
there's your incentive to finish faster, James. Finish your 10K faster
so I
so
can
you can
watch the
catch more of the
championship.
championship, mate. Perfect.
Yeah, no, we've lunch and drinks lined up afterwards. So
Fair enough.
15K for the winner here.
Is it? Not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad, is it?
What's the championship, mate? So yeah, you
I
should.
suppose it is the championship, isn't it? So,
Well, again, I
you
got
know,
we copped a bit of heat in the past for saying, well, I copped a bit of heat in the past for saying that some challenge events left a little bit to be desired. This is their flagship event. Let's see it. Let's see what they roll out there. I'm ready. I am ready to be impressed. So we'll see what they do. But again, give them credit. It's a good. There's some good names on those start lists, and always happy to see those big races. There's some other races happening, but I don't want to talk about them. We've done enough for this week, Jimbo. If people want to find out more about us or support us, what do they need to do?
if you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/talking triathlon. If you want to follow Tim, he's at T414 on Instagram, and I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram. Find us across all social networks at Talking Triathlon on Insta and at Talk Triathlon on Twitter. You can join the Patreon group. You'll get access to the monthly bonus episodes. We'll put you in the social group. We'll put you in the WhatsApp group. The chat is constant and amusing, but yeah, it's great fun in there.
And please, if you listen to this and you have a YouTube account, please subscribe to our YouTube. We are so
We're
close to
like
1,000
we're
subscribers.
16 people away from
14 people.
breaching that.
14 people
14
away.
people away from breaching
Come on, guys. I know a lot of you heard me
that
last
barrier that
week.
we need to breach.
Please, if you can't support us on Patreon, the two things you can do: support our YouTube channel and give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. They are,
Subscribing on YouTube is free.
yes, both are. Oh, so there you go. Thank you very much, Shimbo. We back. We got you got a guy your lineup interview with. How's that going? He's going to be coming on
Yeah,
soon.
I'm going to be doing a chat. Conversations are going backwards and forwards, but we will be having a chat very soon.
Cool. We're going to get some more guests on soon. Jimbo, pleasure as always. I'll talk to you next week.
Cheerio.